explosion in library content over the next year on Disney Plus, because I cannot help but think that while everybody is working from home and they're not producing anything, the only thing they've got is that back catalogue to fill out Disney Plus, to cover in the gaps. So I think we're going to see a lot more library content dropping onto Disney Plus now that the production on everything is stopped or on a pause. What are you going to fill Disney Plus up with July? You start doing it now on all the, you go into the vault and grab some tapes and start converting them while they've got the time, to do that. I can't help but think that's going to be happening.
Okay, so I looked this up on Wikipedia just to be sure, and assuming this is the right episode of it. This show, Man in Space, was shown to President Eisenhower and the rocket experts at the Pentagon to bring them up to speed on what they expected the space race to look like. And the Soviets even requested a copy because they wanted to see what the expectations were. That's the kind of documentary we're talking about here. Yeah. To go back to what you were talking about, though, I agree. We're going to have a lot of remastered kind of stuff popping in because it already exists. All they need is someone to go in and clean it up, make it fit for modern broadcast. And I'm talking quality wise, not content wise. And they've got a whole bunch of people with nothing to do at the moment.
Yeah, so it makes sense to do that. Moving on from there, just to remind, April the 24th, new episodes of The Clone Wars, Disney Family Sundays, One Day at Disney, Be Our Chef. And then finally on Thursday, April 30th, National Treasure will be coming to the US as well. So that's already available elsewhere. Great movie. Definitely check that one out. I love that movie. That movie for me was the thing of when I went to Washington, D.C. and went to the museums and saw the State of Independence, I did turn to the person I was with and went, do you remember this? This is the thing from the National Treasure. This is what they've stolen. I've no idea what it is.
And I'm sure the security guard was just like, oh, jeez, not another one of you guys.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things. We don't get taught much about it. It's not really massive. It's not really massively important. That's our divorce bill. It's like,
but it's like us learning about the Magna Carta or something like that. Yeah, we know the name. We've heard of it. We might know some of the details around it, but I know the name. That's the extent. Yeah, of it.
So that's it. So I that to me was like it just brings me back to that Washington thing. It's like going up the obelisk to the top. That's like it was just it's the top of a tower and I can see the city from up there. And no idea what it is.
And that's how I know you're not American is because you called it an obelisk, which no American would do.
What is it?
Because it's just called the Washington Monument.
All right.
To be honest, I don't think most Americans would understand if you called it an obelisk. Not that they don't know what an obelisk is, but we just don't think of it that way.
No. Yeah, I feel it was just that thing, isn't it? Of different wording sometimes does catch us out. So that was April's lineup. I think that's it's funny because a lot of people were like, oh, it's a bit weak because there's a load of people going, there's no Marvel or Star Wars. Like, the Mandalorian season 2 is not dropping. And people are going, why don't they release Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Because they've not finished filming it yet. They can't. They're still going to fill up all Disney Plus in the winter. They haven't finished filming these shows yet. So I thought that looked a really good, quite a quality lineup. I think it was the National Geographic stuff for me that felt like the better content for me as an adult.
And I think actually a lot of parents are probably going to be looking at that too if we're still in a situation in April where they're going to be looking at I've got to find something for these kids to do. You can normally trust National Geographic's documentaries to be entertaining and informative. So I think a lot of parents are going to appreciate having these suckers up there.
I do think as well. I think with all this stuff going on, I do think like maybe jumping into something like Brain Games or some of these documentaries you're gonna have to keep your kids entertained with something educational. You just can't do cartoons and mindless stuff. They need something, and it's like, right, you're doing this, and if you can do some fact sheets and stuff on it, and do some maybe questions after it, and just people are all gonna have to be teaching kids differently, and documentaries are going to be a great way of you. Maybe, if you don't know about it, you can then learn about it while watching it, and then you can pass that on and go, right, okay, well, what about this? And This is a whole new world for people, and I do think National Geographic content is going to be a great one, especially if you can do that. Like I said, start with those Disney nature ones with those fact sheets. There is 6-7 movies all with fact sheets. That's a week's worth of 2 weeks worth of just TV and stuff alone, just to kind of, if you did one a week, that would see you right through 2 months nearly. That's it's just great ideas really, and I know a lot of parents are just scratching around trying to come up with ideas of what to do with homeschooling and all the rest of it. So that's important to note.
I think the first homeschooling lesson for you will be math on counting how many months that will get you through. The other thing about this, I think a lot of people, especially if we get into mid-April and there's no end in sight, I think a lot of people are going to be appreciating teachers a whole lot more.
Well, I think they're definitely going to be getting that, because I know they're going to be doing a lot of online coursework and setting out syllabus, because we pretty much, our schools are out now until maybe September. They've already kind of, university, my university has said that everybody's out till at least September, and the Scottish Prime Minister or Scottish First Minister has said that she's not expecting anyone back until before the kids' holidays. So we're talking, the UK and stuff, we're looking at right through for months. They finished school, they were sent home yesterday, and they're not going back until the new year, until September. That's just ridiculous. My wife got home from work from the hospital, and I said, schools are finished till possibly September. She was like, what? I said, yeah. I said, it's just ridiculous. It's just, yeah, who knows? It's just
drastic times, drastic measures.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from there. So that was the April lineup. So I'm just going to jump into a little bit there on the European side of things for the launch. Again, to do with this current situation, the European Union's commissioner has asked streaming services to help in trying to keep the network up and running, because obviously a lot of people are at home streaming. Disney Plus is set to launch next week. Literally, we're a few days away from the European launch. And so Netflix, Amazon Prime, and YouTube have already agreed to this, and they have reduced the streaming quality down by 25% to try and lower down how much bandwidth is being used, to try and basically just keep the internet rolling good in the Europe. It's only going to be like a 30-day. It might extend during this situation, but with Spain, Italy, and France, and now some of the UK now in lockdown, and Switzerland, and there's a whole host of different countries all going out into lockdowns, they need to preserve the internet to make sure everyone can stay home and watch stuff, and having stuff maybe in 4K, high definition. I don't necessarily think that he wants everyone to go down to standard definition. I think Netflix and YouTube can kind of tweak the algorithm to kind of make the compression a bit tighter, but we may not be getting 4K for Disney Plus. I'm gathering that might be an issue. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they do something. Disney Plus are maybe in a different situation, might be a bit harder for them to do that because it's not quite as well established, but I would suspect Disney Plus might do something like that, and they might have to maybe forego the 4K version to kind of please the European Union government right now. And it makes a lot of sense, because we don't want the internet falling down and nobody can access anything. It's like everything. Would you rather watch something at 720 or 720p rather than not watching it at all? And most of the UK providers have been saying that there's no issue with the internet and all the rest of it, and we are more than able to keep everything going. But if you've got everybody sat at home and the internet goes down, that's when the rioting is going to start.
Yeah, the only thing that's really kept us from true anarchy at this point is the internet, and that's really not that much hyperbole.
No. So I know there's kind of like a weird thing of reaction. There's a lot of obviously Europeans going, I understand what's going on, fine, it doesn't matter. I watched Netflix in standard definition. It was like, I don't need the extra bucks, and I don't tend to buy stuff in the 4K. It looks nice, but I'm not willing to pay extra for it. Standard definition's fine. I don't see that as if that's the worst that's going to happen. Obviously, some people are like, well, they should give us 25% off. Like, no, it's like you kind of sit there and sometimes go, no, it's like, it doesn't work like that. You can't turn around and go, it's like, it's being done so you can keep watching, because if you don't do it, everyone's going to get turned off. You don't. I mean, I know America's got an entirely different system over there. It's very, very different. But who knows? I mean, this could end up happening across the globe as just trying to help with the internet, keeping it running.
Yeah, and it's good of the content providers to do that. It really does fall on the backbone companies, though, the ISPs, to get that stuff working. But every little bit helps. And honestly, yeah, the
helps them.
The bandwidth difference between, say, 720 and 480, which would be the DVD quality, isn't that high. So I suspect they'll stick to the 720. Pretty tight, unless there is a very serious problem. In which case, we'll have bigger things to worry about. Yeah,
I think it's more about just trying to make they can do more compression, but also as well as it might help like YouTube and Netflix and Amazon and Disney and that stuff, because their servers are going to get whacked with so many people going. I mean, I know, networks have been struggling. Facebook, Xbox, PlayStation, they've all been struggling a little bit under the weight of how many people are accessing their services right now.
Yeah, the real winner right now is Amazon AWS services, because they have got to be raking it in with people turning on new servers to keep up with the demand.
Yeah, so that's it. Going on from there with the European side of things with the launch. Obviously, it's launching on Tuesday in the UK. It's also launching in Ireland and France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Austria, and Switzerland on March 24th. Can't wait to finally fire up the app on my PlayStation and Xbox without having to go through the things. However, I'm not entirely happy because Disney have confirmed. I was sent an email from one of the PR people over in the UK, so it's come specifically from Disney. It's going to launch with 26 episodes of the original series and movies that were exclusively on the service. In most cases, the Disney Plus original series will have one episode available at launch, with new episodes releasing weekly, available at 8 a.m. There are going to be some exceptions. For example, with The Mandalorian, there will be 2 episodes available at the beginning. And with The Clone Wars, there will be 2 episodes available, with 2 episodes being released each week until basically the 17th of April, when they will catch up with the US. So this is basically meaning now that the Europe is going to be getting like a different release schedule. And I don't know how this is going to work each Friday in terms of what's going to be happening, because at the minute, up till now, all 5 countries that have Disney Plus all get everything on the same day with regards to the originals, and everybody else, and the library content's always a bit hit and miss. Well, now Europe are going to be getting things even differently. I mean, will we get Disney Insider on the same day? Who knows? Like, Be Our Chef will be fine because it's going to be launching afterwards, so it'll be on par with America. But then we're going to have this situation of like with Shop Class. I mean, they're going to be like 5 episodes behind, and when the new, eventually it will all fill in by the end. We'll get to that point where everything catches up. But I was a little bit disappointed with this because it looks a little bit along the lines of, we're trying to keep Europe paying for our service for the next 3 months while you're all stuck at home, and we don't want you kind of binge watching the whole lot in your 7-day trial. And also the fact that you've already made us wait 5 months and now you're doing it. For me, it's a bit awkward because now it means I'm still going to have to use the old system for a few weeks and for a few months until everything catches up. But it just seems a little bit like, I understand it for The Mandalorian, but with the Imagineering project and Jeff Goldblum, does it really matter if they're all available or not? I don't know. It seems I can see why they're doing it, but we're going to be getting like 20 episodes a week of new content. So there's going to be plenty of people to watch.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're going to pull this one off in any way that makes any form of sense. I'm sure there's a method to the madness, but
yeah, I mean, the only good thing is within about 2 to 3 months, everything will be on par with the US, and then we'll just be getting everything at the same time. I think it's, by the looks of it, it's just a way of stretching out those subscriptions like they did with the US. Now, I understand the idea of, well, the Americans and everybody else had to deal with this, so you should do too. But it's like, but it's weird. The Mandalorian is like, so many people have already streamed The Mandalorian. I mean, the amount of adverts on television right now for the European launch coming up. It's like The Mandalorian, and I just turned my live one. I said, they're like brand new series. I thought I've been watching this 5 months ago. It's like all my mates have already streamed it. This is like, yeah, okay. But I understand why they're doing it. But I do question some of them of like things like shop class. Why not just let us catch up to day and date? You know, because we're halfway through the